Whoa. Welcome to the TreasureTreeTherapy Planters Podcast. I'm your host, Master Cheeze. You're in for another good one as always. We're going to start with some injuries. And since primetime season is over with, we're going to transition a little bit. We're going to discuss the Chicago Bears as they look to save their season. And we're going to do it a little different. We will touch on Kawhi Leonard with a pinch of Salt Bay NBA and discuss the in-season tournament with the NBA season going to full force. So stay tuned. You're in for a good one. You don't want to miss it. Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Master Cheeze. A little bit different attire today. As you can see, we have a Smile for Donna hoodie on with Kanye on the side. It's a hoodie that TreasureTreeTherapy has produced. We have a holiday special going on, about 25 hoodies left.
Donda.
If you want some Christmas gifts, it's a great idea. Great black hoodie. Comes with a lot of different items. You can check out the website for more information. But as we look forward, we're going to touch on some injuries. The first injury we're going to look at is Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence had a very ugly looking injury this past weekend, but it appears that he only suffered a high ankle sprain. High ankle sprain is a very tough injury to kind of come back and bounce back from. It traditionally takes about 4 to 6 weeks. But for Trevor Lawrence, it appears that he avoided an ACL injury, which you can look at the video. As you can see, it's very weird how a lot of damage didn't occur. But with the ankle injury, it appears that he'll be out for the next couple weeks. And so they'll have to roll with the backup as the Jaguars look to compete to make the playoffs. And then we're going to look at another quarterback that has been, dealing with a lot of heartache. We're going to look at Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett of the Pittsburgh Steelers also experienced a high ankle sprain, but he did something a little bit different. He got what's called a tightrope surgery. Now, looking at what a tightrope surgery, it appears that they went in, they did a small little incision at the ankle, and it's supposed to help the recovery process. Looking at a list of positives from it, it's supposed to improve range of motion, accelerate recovery from a high ankle sprain, help you recover faster, and help for long-term success. So Kenny Pickett is trying to avoid going on injury reserve, but he'll be out for the next couple weeks as he deals with that. So that's something to look out for, as the quarterbacks at the position are kind of having a hard time getting through the season. But best of luck to those guys. As we transition from injuries, we're going to look at the Chicago Bears. Yes, looking at the Chicago Bears this past week, they did have a bye week, and they're going into a very, very tough divisional matchup again against the Detroit Lions. This win or loss is going to really change or predict the outlook for the rest of the season. It's really a must-win game for them. After that, I think that they'll look to progress to see how they'll do next year. So hopefully Justin Fields can continue to do what he does and show why he is a franchise quarterback. So had a week to recover. Hopefully the Bears come ready to play and be ready for a dogfight against one of the best teams, the Detroit Lions. So we transition from football. We're going to discuss a little bit of Salt Bay NBA. We're going to touch on Kawhi Leonard.
Pause. You got to do something because this shit is not right. I know. Okay.
But before we do, we're going to discuss the in-season tournament. It has been a lot of confusion that's been going on. The courts have been a little different this past year. The NBA is trying to keep things a little bit more competitive in the beginning of the season versus the end of the season, which everyone plays their best in the playoffs. They're trying to show and reward the guys for playing hard during the season as well. But as we look down, it's coming down to the wire, looking at the Final Four. The last couple of games, the matchup was the Pelicans beat the Kings to advance, and then the Bucks beat the Knicks to advance as well. In addition to that, the Lakers were able to beat the Suns down the stretch. Tough game for the
timeout when no one had possession. Let's see when LeBron was calling timeout here. Here's Reeves. When the ball comes out, no one has possession. So how could it be a timeout? Frank Vogel is livid right now.
Game for the Suns, Kevin Durant. His traditional pull-up jumper was a no-go, as LeBron and his defensive matchups were able to scheme and keep him off that spot. As you can see, the shot he was able to get up is a shot that he has been able to hit very consistently down the line. But
basketball right there. Kevin Durant, though, so gifted, comes down and just pulls up and knocks it in. But at the other end, they had to get the 2-for-1.
Now Hood picks him up on the switch. Shot clock at 5. Kevin Durant way outside. Delivers!
As he continues to age and battle those injuries, that fatigue sets in, and as I spoke in my other podcast, he has these neural blinks that result into a lot of turnovers that should not be coming from your star player. So looking for those battles. And then in the upcoming matchup, we have the Lakers. Their next matchup is going to go up against the Pelicans. Going to be a tough matchup against a young star-studded crew. And then you have the Bucks going up against the Pacers. The Pacers are a very hungry team with a lot of players not making a lot of money on that team. So people are very competitive for that $500,000. You know, that's $500,000. I just want to hold $1, but you know, best of luck to those guys as they battle with the in-season tournament. And I think it's pretty cool that you have a little bit of competition going on. You can tell the season is peaking a little bit as it kind of winds down towards Christmas. So NBA has a great idea. We'll see if they can do a better job of explaining that to the fans. That way people can be a little bit more engaged as the tournament ends in Vegas. So best of luck to those teams. And then we're going to try to show you all a little bit more information. This one's going to deep dive a little bit more into some injuries and how they occur. So we're going to look at Kawhi Leonard, who's playing for the Los Angeles Clippers. Kawhi Leonard has been is a two-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and arguably he was a top 10 player in the NBA a couple years in a row. He was injured by Zaza Pachulia, who stepped underneath him.
Again, that's what they call all the time.
Kind of towards quad. He battled against the Spurs, who, you know, some of the players didn't really feel like he was competing at a high level or he wasn't really ready. Kawhi, to his own, knowing himself, he doesn't feel like he was ready to play at that level of competition. He was traded to the Raptors, went to the Raptors, got a championship. So with the Raptors, he was battling that injury, and he was seen limping throughout the playoffs, throughout that series, but he was able to win and get the championship. From there, he was traded, or he eventually signed with the Los Angeles Clippers. You know, it was a big deal. Everyone was hyping him up. You know, the Clippers were said to be championship favorites year in and year out. But the piece I do want to touch on is that Kawhi Leonard is a very competitive person, very quiet, but he's very competitive. And so watching him over the many years, I can see where he's going to have an off night and if he's going to have a good night. And traditionally, it's the lifting his shots that he has a hard time with, in addition to his runs. Dating back to early June of 2021, TreasureTreeTherapy reached out to the Clippers organization and tried to at least have a conversation to inform them about Kawhi Leonard's knee injury. Now, they might get tons of emails, but my email is a little bit different. I focus on neurological compensations that can add up down the line and lead to injuries. And the reason why I say that is that it was a sad day to see Kawhi Leonard end up tearing his ACL a week after those emails were sent. Phone calls were given, unable to get in touch with anybody. If you look at the play that Kawhi Leonard was injured on, very routine play. Kawhi Leonard's a very strong individual. But if you look at the time when he's on the clock, it's kind of late in games where fatigue sets in and your neurological system is ready to fatigue. A very general bump by Ingles. And then, as you can see, his knee kind of does a little bit of flip-flopping, and it kind of gives way. Later to discover that he was diagnosed with the ACL tear and he had to sit out the remainder of that season. So that was a pretty difficult to see as a Kawhi Leonard fan, seeing that something you spoke on ahead of time really went unanswered. This is information for the Los Angeles Clippers. Again, as I say this, I am an individual I feel like would be beneficial for you all to have a conversation with. Looking at neurological compensation, in addition to the great state-of-the-art equipment that you all use to prepare your athletes, there's a little bit more that can be done. Different eye can be added. As someone high in the NBA has spoken, is that when you have a diversity of opinions, that's the best opinion to kind of have. You have a lot of different thoughts where some people may not be able to see certain things just because they're really good at what they do. So I'm saying that what I focus on is neurological interventions, and I think that I can bring benefit to an organization, at least to help you all see things a little bit differently than you all have been, and prepare your athletes a little bit better. And as I say that, Kawhi Leonard has been doing really well in the years that he's been with the Los Angeles Clippers. It's just when it comes to the playoff time. Playoff time is where the schedule kind of changes. You have a short window of recovery, and the games are way more intense. You prepare throughout the season, and he's done a really good job. Even last year when he went up against his son, he was the best player on the court. But again, as fatigue sets in, the neurological system is going to give way. And Kawhi Leonard, again, was hurt again in the playoffs, and he had to sit out the remainder of the playoffs. The Clippers are not going to be able to win a championship without Kawhi Leonard on the floor, regardless of picking up James Harden. I think that you can make a lot of noise throughout the playoffs, but you need your star players to be healthy. And again, addressing these neurological interventions, these neurological compensations that build up throughout the season and over time is something I believe that the Clippers need to really consider if they really plan on winning a championship and opening up the new stadium. Now, looking at the Clippers, as the team, picking up James Harden was a really good move for them. I know it was a lot of criticism going on because James Harden traditionally is not seen as a winner per se, but he is a very talented individual. Looking at Kawhi Leonard, he in the past was able to carry teams with not a lot of help, but as you can see through his aging and his injury history, that's not the same Kawhi as you want to assume. And that's not really going off opinion, it's just going off the facts. If you look at the history of him being in the playoffs, plays really well, but just ends up getting hurt. And it's not due to him not working hard, it's just his body is kind of tired. So picking up James Harden is definitely a plus for the Clippers because you have a high-level athlete who can help throw assists and see the game differently. Also takes a lot of pressure off Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and the other guys. So seeing the Clippers play the way they've been playing, they've had some disgusting losses, but overall, they seem very motivated. The reason why the James Harden trade is going to be very beneficial is because when you have a guard like that, really the Nuggets are the team you have to face. The Nuggets are the team you have to go through. Having James Harden's ability to put Jokic in a pick-and-roll situation, it just comes down to a make-or-miss league, where if he can hit those shots, then you can really compete against those higher teams and you can win a championship. Now, with that being said, I think the problem doesn't really lie on the players. Ty Lue was a very good coach, and he has been seen as a very good coach, and I think that Nuggets loss that he had was the wake-up call that he really needed.
Defense, come out of timeouts up 11. I think start the fourth, they hit a three. And, then Joker got a couple offensive rebounds, late in the game, which kind of hurt us. But I thought overall we saw some good things. And like I said, I'm definitely encouraged by what I saw tonight. And coming out again in a timeout up 11. We're not supposed to switch. We switch. Both guys go. Reggie hits a three. And just a lot of miscommunication on the floor, And so, guys are frustrated, offensively, but they should be frustrated defensively as well. Like, that's when you should get mad, is on the defensive end. But I take full responsibility, like I said, and, we're just not going to play this style of basketball.
Full responsibility, like I said, and, we're just not going to play this style of basketball.
He's been very kind of cool, calm, and collected, but I think this is the time to really pull a lot out of your guys and really challenge them a little bit more than you have been. Ty Lue's he's a player's coach. He does really good, but I think he needs to pick up the pace, and he needs to pick up the tempo in terms of when he has these conversations with the media. He needs to show a little bit more urgency, and I think that'll transfer over to his team. Not saying that they're not trying their hardest, but they need the extra push to see what they need to do. The biggest problem with the Clippers is defensively, they have these lapses where they give up these offensive rebounds. You play good defense, and you give up the offensive rebounds. Zubac is a very good big, but he does not get the rebounds when he needs to, and I think that just comes to it being a whole team win. Now, as I say that, the Clippers have been progressing in this area. The last matchup they had, they were down throughout the whole entire game. And Russell Westbrook came through sky for a rebound, which is what you need. And Paul George came down and hit a big shot.
The pull-up. Rebound Westbrook. The Clippers looking to push. The shot clock is dark. They're down by 2. George wants it all. The three! Oh, my God!
These are momentum builders as you go into the seasons, as we look for the Clippers to be a championship favorite after Christmas.
Guys are frustrated, offensively, but they should be frustrated defensively as well. Like, that's when you should get mad, is on the defensive end. But I take full responsibility, like I said, and, we're just not going to play this style of basketball.
And with the Los Angeles Clippers, this is a very important season for them. They have a lot of great pieces going on. Looking forward to seeing what they do with it. Steve Ballmer is a cutthroat owner, and he'll blow things up if he needs to. So hopefully the Clippers can figure it out, get a championship, or at least show that they can be a championship caliber team, as they have to compete against the Lakers, who have championship experience, in addition to a young crew like the Pelicans, who are hungry to also win a championship. But as I say in the past, and I always continue to tell you, I like to keep these podcasts nice and short. But you can like, subscribe, you can share if you find any of this information beneficial. And who do you believe will be the in-season tournament champion? Comment below. But until then, Treasure Treat Therapy, planting seeds today for future generations' success. So that's my piece. I plan on trying to cover a little bit more of the basketball as NFL season progresses past. And so that's my piece on that piece. That's my piece on that piece. Man, I'm saying a lot of pieces. Piece to piece. Salt Bay NBA.